Elio.
I remember everything.
Would I start again if I could? In a second. But I've had 2 of these, and I'm about to order a third. He smiled. It was obviously my turn to ask the same question, but I didn't want to embarrass him. This was my favorite Oliver, the one who thought exactly like me. I could feel my throat tightening, so I left her on the rock and began to edge my way into the water. This was exactly what I'd predicted might happen. I'd stare at the water that evening and for a split second forget that he wasn't here any longer. There was no point in turning back and looking up to the balcony, where his image hadn't quite vanished. And yet, scarcely hours ago, his body and my body. Now he had probably already had his second meal on the plane and was preparing to land at JFK. I knew that he was filled with grief when he finally kissed me one last time in one of the bathroom stalls at Fiumicino Airport, and that even if on the plane the drinks and the movie had distracted him, once alone in his room in New York, he too would be sad again. And I hated thinking of him sad, just as I knew he'd hate to see me sad in our bedroom, which had all too soon become my bedroom. 7 years. In 7 years, I began thinking, and suddenly felt something almost burst in my throat. I dove in the water. He kissed me on the mouth. I recognized the taste instantly. I'd never realized how much I liked it, or how long I'd missed it. One more item to log on that checklist of things I'd miss before losing him for good. Any moment now we were going to say goodbye. Suddenly part of my life was going to be taken away from me now and would never be given back. He looked at me and literally blushed. I was staring at him. He was amazingly handsome still. No loss of hair, no fat. Still jogged every morning, he said, skin still as smooth as then, only a few sunspots on his hands. Sunspots, I thought, and I couldn't put the thought away. Sunspots. They broke my heart, and I wanted to kiss each and every one away. I'm like you, he said. I remember everything. I stopped for a second. If you remember everything, I wanted to say, and if you really are like me, then before you leave tomorrow, or when you're just ready to shut the door of the taxi and have already said goodbye to everyone else, and there's not a thing left to say in this life, then, just this once, turn to me, even in jest, or as an afterthought, which would have meant everything to me when we were together. And as you did back then, look me in the face, hold my gaze, and call me by your name.